October 24th, 1929. New York City, 9:30 in the morning. You are standing outside the New York Stock Exchange, and something is wrong. The crowd isn't moving. Men in expensive suits stand completely frozen, staring at the ticker. Some grip newspapers so hard, the paper tears. Nobody speaks. Then someone starts running. Then everyone does. Inside, 13 million shares are being dumped at once. The phones stop working. Brokers scream numbers that make no sense. The floor looks like a building on fire, except nothing is burning yet. But one man isn't there. One man, more than any other, built the machine, now destroying itself in real time. And he'd been building it for a decade, right inside the most trusted institution in America. His name was Charles Mitchell. And what he did was completely legal. Here is the question nobody could answer that morning. How does a single banker convince 1.5 million ordinary Americans, teachers, mechanics, farmers, factory workers, to gamble borrowed money on a system he knew was unstable? And how does he do it legally, with a warm smile, inside a bank they trusted with their life savings? Because this isn't a story about a market crash. Markets crash. That's not the crime. This is a story about a machine built on debt, disguised as the American dream, and sold to people who never understood what they were actually buying. When it collapsed, families lost homes in a single afternoon. Men who felt like millionaires on Thursday stood in bread lines by Monday, and some never recovered at all. The machine had one architect, and he called himself a patriot. To understand what Mitchell built, you need to understand what America looked like before he arrived. By 1927, the U.S. economy was the most powerful on Earth. 26 million cars on the roads, steel production at record levels. A new skyscraper rises in Manhattan almost every month. For the first time in history, ordinary working Americans believe wealth is within reach, not someday, but now. But underneath that confidence, something is already quietly shifting. Banks are no longer just holding savings. They are moving money into markets, quietly, steadily, in ways their customers never see. Families are borrowing against future paychecks to buy appliances, cars, shares, betting that tomorrow will always be richer than today. The entire system runs on one invisible assumption: that confidence never stops, that nobody ever panics, that the line of people walking in never becomes a line of people walking out. Because if it does, if even a rumor spreads that prices are falling, there is nothing underneath. No reserve deep enough. No safety net wide enough. The whole structure only holds as long as everyone believes it holds. Wall Street still belongs to someone else. Stocks are for bankers, for old money, for men in private clubs. A factory worker in Ohio doesn't buy shares. He saves in a bank. And banks, everyone agrees, are sacred, safe, honest, unbreakable. That's the opening Mitchell sees. He runs National City Bank, the largest bank in America, $1 billion in assets, branches across the country. He has the most trusted platform in finance, and he has a plan to use it, in a way no banker has ever attempted. But here's the detail nobody noticed at the time. For the plan to work, it couldn't slow down. Not even once. Because the moment it stopped growing, the whole structure collapsed. Mitchell creates the National City Company, an investment arm operating directly inside bank branches. No separate office, no intimidating Wall Street address, just the same tellers, the same counters, the same building ordinary people already trusted. And then he trains an army, 350 salesmen, scripts rehearsed to sound like friendly advice, targets, anyone with a savings account. The pitch is simple. You work hard. Rich men let money work for them. Now you can too. The advertisements are flawless. Happy families beside large homes. Smiling children. Financial freedom isn't just for the wealthy anymore. Buying stocks isn't framed as gambling. It's framed as patriotism, as ambition, as the obvious next step for any serious American family. Within 2 years, National City sells $1 billion in securities directly to the public, many of them ordinary people who have never owned a stock in their lives. But the real mechanism is buried in the fine print. Mitchell introduces margin trading at industrial scale. The concept sounds generous. You only need 10% of your own money to buy stocks. The bank loans you the other 90%. Put down $100. You control $1,000 in shares. The market rises. You profit as if you invested the full amount. It sounds like leverage. It is leverage. But there's a detail the salesmen don't emphasize. If the stock drops, even slightly, the bank demands the full loan back, immediately, and most of these people don't have it. Then Mitchell pushes further. He creates investment trusts that borrow money to buy stocks and sell shares of those same trusts back to the public. Borrowed money buying borrowed shares. A pyramid that only stands if prices keep rising forever. By 1929, $8.5 billion in margin debt sat underneath the American stock market. The system protects confidence, but it has no floor. One moment of real fear, and the whole structure has nothing underneath it. The Federal Reserve sees it. In early 1929, they warned banks directly. Margin lending is out of control. Speculation has disconnected from reality. Mitchell's response is to go on the radio and tell America everything is fine. March 25, 1929. The first tremor. Interest rates rise slightly. A small wave of selling begins. Prices slip. Margin calls go out. Panic spreads across the floor. For 3 days, it looks like the bubble might crack open early. Then, Mitchell appears publicly. He announces National City Bank will inject unlimited liquidity into the market, whatever it takes. The bank is standing behind America. Stocks surge back within 48 hours. Newspapers call him a hero, the man who saved the economy. And the final rush begins, the most dangerous 6 months in financial history. By September 1929, 600,000 new investors had entered the market in a single year. Shoe shiners give tips on street corners. Secretaries buy shares on lunch breaks. A Detroit mechanic named Edward Hopkins takes out a second loan against his house to buy Ford Motor stock. His broker tells him, it's the safest bet in America. Somewhere in Detroit, Edward Hopkins is already at his workbench. He borrowed against his house. He went all in on Ford. He is waiting for prices to open higher, the way they always do. October 24th, 9:30 a.m. Large institutional investors, sensing what is coming, or simply no longer able to hold, begin unloading enormous blocks of shares. Whether it is coordinated, or simply the same fear reaching the same people, at the same moment, historians still debate. What isn't debated is what happens next. The selling creates a price drop. The price drop triggers margin calls. Across the entire system, margin calls force emergency selling. Emergency selling crashes prices further. In 3 hours, the loop becomes unbreakable. On the trading floor, the ticker falls 15 minutes behind, then 30. Brokers are screaming orders into phones. That no longer connect. The switchboards are completely jammed. Some brokers simply hold the receiver and listen to silence. Others shout buy orders into the floor and find no one willing to take the other side. There are no buyers, not at any price. Traders who have been standing for 4 straight hours, without food or water, begin physically shaking. Some sit down on the floor mid-session, unable to continue. One broker near the south wall collapses and is carried out, while trading continues around him. Nobody stops. Nobody can afford to stop. Outside, the crowd on Broad Street grows to 10,000 people. Police are called. Nobody riots. They just stand there, silent, watching the building, as if waiting for someone to come outside and explain what just happened to their lives. Edward Hopkins receives a margin call at 11 a.m. $2,200 due immediately. He has $43 in his account. His broker liquidates every share he owns, at a fraction of what he paid. The house loan remains. The bank doesn't negotiate. He has 5 days to find money. That no longer exists. By the closing bell, $14 billion in value had vanished in a single day. In the months that follow, the damage spreads beyond Wall Street, into the streets themselves. 9,000 banks collapsed within 3 years. Unemployment reaches 25%. Breadlines stretch for blocks outside city halls. Makeshift homeless camps appear. On the edges of every major American city, they're called Hoovervilles, named after the president. Nobody blames quite enough. Edward Hopkins hung himself in his garage in February 1930. He leaves a note with 4 words. I had nothing left. In a suburb of Cleveland, a schoolteacher named Mary Kayfield loses her parents' home, mortgaged to buy Radio Corporation shares, on her broker's advice. 3 generations move into a single rented room. Her father never speaks about it again. Charles Mitchell was called before the Senate in 1933. The Pecora Commission. The full mechanism of what he built is laid out publicly for the first time. Senators show documents proving national city salesmen were trained to push high-risk securities onto clients, while knowing the underlying assets were near worthless. One internal memo calls certain bonds they sold to the public utterly no good, written by Mitchell's own staff. When asked about the families destroyed, Mitchell answers calmly, nobody forced them to buy. He faces tax evasion charges. His reputation collapses. The man the newspapers once called Sunshine Charlie becomes the public face of what happens when a bank decides the line between selling a dream and running a scam is just a matter of paperwork. The Glass-Steagall Act was passed in 1933. Banks are legally separated from investment arms. The machine Mitchell built is dismantled by law, but the law can't give Edward Hopkins his life back. It can't return 3 generations to a home they lost in an afternoon, and it can't answer the question that still sits underneath the whole story, the one nobody in 1929 thought to ask before signing. When the man selling you the dream works for the bank holding your loan, whose side is he actually on?